Hello and welcome to Tomlin's Harmonica podcast, where I'll be hanging out with players and teachers and having conversations loosely based around harmonica. This week's podcast is the first in a series where I'll be interviewing beginners instead of pros, so that you can hear what it's like starting out on the harmonica journey. Our first beginner guest will be Patrick, who started playing just about a year ago. Okay, so Patrick, before we get started with chatting about harmonica and things, will you tell us a little bit about where you're from and kind of just your life in a couple of sentences?
I'm from New Zealand. Grew up in Auckland, New Zealand. Regards musically, my father was a ukulele player, and as a kid, I could never hold the neck. Uh-huh. So I was never able to play it, So from those early days, I never thought I had a musical ability as such. So I sort of like gave it up, thinking and believing I wasn't a musical guy, And then it was something that I never knew about. And then over a period of years working on the waterfront, I drifted along in life as you do, and I found myself now in Australia. I live in Australia. Cool.
And so, I think I hear that kind of story very often from students, didn't think they were musical, and then they suddenly discovered a little bit later in life that they actually are, which is brilliant. I'm wondering what kind of brought you to harmonica?
Aldi's.
What's that?
Aldi's. I was walking through the Aldi's store one day, and they had a box, which is this one, a little box like that.
Oh,
and
cool.
It had a harmonica in it, yeah. So I had a choice. I could either buy the little harmonica box or the box that had the juggling balls in. So I already knew how to juggle, so I figured, well, after everything, I might as well have a go at learning the harmonica, because it didn't require me to use my fingers, which I find hard, like around a ukulele and stringed instruments, So I picked this thing up and I brought it home, and it came with a manual. That was the key.
Oh, brilliant.
It came with a little manual, you see. And so it sort of like was the map to get me started and to keep me interested, And so that's what happened. And here it is, my first harmonica I bought at Aldi's, Bull's Head, July 2019. So there you go.
That's very cool. So you've been playing for just over a year.
Just on a year, mate. Yeah,
nice. That's very cool. It's brilliant that's such a kind of fortuitous, serendipitous introduction to harmonica. It sounded like it could have been something completely random, and it just happened.
Well, when I saw it, the thing was, it was the connection that I mentioned about my dad. I always wanted to be able to play and take up his teachings, but I could never do it. And it was sort of like something that's always been missing in my life.
Yeah,
the ability to play an instrument. And so when I found this, and I started realizing that, hey, I can do this. And it's starting to sound, wasn't good at the start, I can promise you that, and it's starting to sound okay. I thought, right, I'm going to get this. So it's been a fun ride.
That's really cool. And so, you picked a lot of my students come to harmonica because they've been big fans of like the classic blues players. Did you listen to blues harmonica before, or is this just it was the instrument that was there and you started out?
It was the instrument that was sitting on the shelf at the time.
Uh-huh.
If I go back in time and I think about listening to blues music, I've always had, and I don't know where it came from, I've always had a image of an old black guy sitting on the back step. Mm-hmm. And I'll say Mississippi because I know about Adam Bassett, and those sort of guys at the moment, But I've always had that image of this guy sitting on the back step playing his guitar, the old blues music. And I don't know where I heard it as a kid. Mm-hmm. But I've always had that in the back of my mind. So the harmonica, it was sort of like a trigger, if you like, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
That's cool. And I'm assuming that you've not just been working on blues music, you've been working on some kind of melody playing as well.
Well, when I started, like I say, the manual came with me. It said how to blow individually, the little notes and things like that, and it described the scales and that. And then I'm thinking about songs and that, and it gave a couple of songs to follow through tabs, and that was like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and the like. But I started to struggle, and I thought, well, how do I learn these things? Like you can look at the tabs and listen to guys online and try and follow music. But then I started realizing that the old tunes that I still remember as a kid, I'm talking about Humpty Dumpty, row, row, row your boat,
Yeah.
all those things, all those things that we learn as kids in play school or wherever we learn them from, mums and dads and that. Those tunes are still embedded in our minds, somewhere in our subconscious. And then I started realizing all I have to do is just keep playing those notes and start find those notes. And that's what I've been doing. So when you say melodies, there was one song that I just couldn't figure out what it was. All right, I had this tune in my head. Uh-huh. Right, for days and days and days, I had this tune running around in my head, and I was asking the guys at work, "Hey, what's this?" And I was trying to hum it to them,
mm-hmm.
But it wouldn't come. And then one day I thought, well, I'll Google it. So I Googled old Irish songs because I knew it had an Irish connection, you see. And then I went through all the list, and there it was, Dirty Old Town by the Pogues.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I started to play it, and I thought, that's the song. So I found the tabs for it, right, as you do, and I started playing it. So over now, that song somehow, and I don't know how it works yet, because I'm still figuring out the music theory,
mm-hmm.
But that song, I can start it. Once I get started on it, I can just play it up and down and back, and I can play around with it. I can change whatever. It's really cool.
That's
I don't
awesome.
understand how it works, but it's really neat.
But I think that's something that a lot of students worry about. They think that they have to understand everything they're doing. And at the end of the day, if you're making music and you're having fun with it, that is kind of priority number one.
It is.
So, stick to that. Don't feel bad about not necessarily understanding the theory. The theory will come, and it is useful. I'm definitely going to say that as a teacher because it helps a lot to improve faster. But, remember to enjoy it. And I can tell that you're someone who enjoys the process.
I'm loving it.
It's brilliant.
I am. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No.
I didn't even know what a note was. When I started this journey, I had no idea because I didn't have any, cause or reason to inquire about music theory. I didn't have any friends or that. So I never understood notes. I didn't even know he read A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Finished there. I didn't know that. So I've found all these sort of things out so far. Like the blow on the one blow on a C harmonic is a C. Same as on the 4, the 7, and the 10.
Yeah.
How cool is it?
That's brilliant.
Now, what I'm going to do with that, I've got no idea just yet, but I know I'm going to figure it out, and that's okay.
That's the thing. I think a lot of beginners, they're aware of all the stuff that they could know, but they don't know it yet, and they think that's a barrier. But the attitude that you have of you don't know what you're going to do with it yet, but you know that you're going to get to it. That's brilliant. And that's true, just step by step. So, I mean, I want to give a little bit of background before I ask a couple more questions. So Patrick actually suggested this idea, which I think is fantastic, of interviewing beginner students and just so you can hear other people who are kind of in the early stages and find out what they're struggling with and how they got started and all that kind of thing. So Patrick suggested this, and then I twisted his arm and got him to be the first person to actually take part. But I'd really like to know what kind of your biggest struggle has been so far in learning harmonica?
Oh, man. That's the biggest one. one that frustrates me, one that has frustrated me, and that is understanding, okay, there's only one way to blow in harmonica, and that's to blow it. And there's only one way to get that draw on it, and that's to suck on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at tabs, right? I either get to look at an arrow pointing up or an arrow pointing down, or a plus sign or a minus sign, or a B and a D. And so when I'm finding tabs, like visually, if I say the word elephant to you, you get a picture of an elephant. You don't get the word elephant.
No.
Yeah. So I think in pictures, and it frustrates me that universally, right, we're all trying to achieve the same thing as when to blow, when to draw, and that. But we've got to, in those moments, in those split seconds, we're trying to decipher as that's a B, D equals blow or draw. Arrow pointing up, that means you have to think
It's
about
a blow
it.
note. Yeah.
Yeah. And a down arrow, said to me, an up arrow is go up and down.
Yeah.
See, up and down. Alphabet B and D goes, it's alphabetical. Plus and minus, I can get that. That makes more sense to me because it's either minus or thing, you see. So if that was universal amongst all of the teachers, which is not going to happen, right, that would be a great achievement. Well, I think so. We all think and we all see differently, you know, but that's been my biggest struggle. And picking up a tab sheet and trying to follow it along because I'm looking at the symbol and trying to make sense of which direction I'm going to do. Is it? So that's my biggest struggle.
Yeah, Joe, that's a really solid point, and it's kind of why in the beginning when I first started putting together a curriculum for teaching, it was because I had recently learned how to play, and I'd been jumping around, you know, Adam Gusso's videos, Ronnie Shellis videos, Jason Ritchie, and looking all these tabs, and that there didn't seem to be a curriculum or a kind of grading system or a universal way of learning. And so I totally get that frustration. I've definitely committed to doing my tab a certain way. And it is quite frustrating because I'm aware that for some people it's completely clear and it's the most obvious thing ever. And for other people, the arrows just don't make sense. But I guess if it was universal, then you'd probably kind of just commit to it and it would become second nature.
Think about this. If you watch the weather forecast, on the news, and they get that little puff of wind, you get that little symbol that goes.
Yeah.
With the little curls on it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Brilliant.
Universal.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to redo all of my tab now.
What you got to do? You got to get Adam on the phone, you get Ronnie on the phone, raise Jason on the phone. Say, hey guys, let's come together on this.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great.
Nothing is impossible. That's how I think. Nothing is impossible. And when you're dealing with millions of people, because there are so many people learning the harmonica, there's so many people. If we could all find a better way, maybe you could start a university.
Oh man, see, this is really exciting stuff, and I kind of feel. I mean, that's a lifelong commitment and a big thing, but it would be very cool. It would be very, very cool.
Like a friend of mine back in New Zealand, as an example, okay, he's struggled over life for many reasons and whatever, and he's dyslexic. He can't read, he really struggles. So I sent him 2 harmonicas, a C and an A. Right, I sent him 2 harmonicas, and I've spoken to his wife, and I've sent him the links for you guys, you know, the YouTube links, you know. And I'm encouraging him to get on here, and him and I, because I just know that his internal self will pick this up and go with it, and I know he'll nail it. He's just got to get that opportunity to do it. You see, so that's what I'm trying to help. Like what you do, you know, pass it on to him, and then he will go forward himself. You know. I know he's going to be okay.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is everyone needs to get that first probably 20 hours under their belt, and then they're kind of good to go and follow their own path. And I think that's brilliant.
And I've said it to my son as well. You see, I think everybody should do one of these.
Oh, definitely. Well, keep spreading the word. This is great.
Spread the love.
Yeah. Okay, so that was kind of your biggest struggle. Was there anything that scared you about learning an instrument?
Other people hearing me. Yeah, which is just a natural fear. I think, you know?
Absolutely.
And I've had like when I take it to work, and I practice and practice and practice and practice doing what I do, you know. I won't go into what I do because, But some of the guys at work said to me, "Oh, players, give us a tune, play us a tune." Nah, man, I'm not good enough yet. I'm not good enough yet. And the fear is, will they laugh at me? You know, will they mock me? Will they do that? And I know that they wouldn't. But where do I, for me, like, when do I make that decision to step into the fear? You know, I don't know yet. Maybe when I get, like the old Pogue song, I've got that down, and a few other nursery rhymes. You know, I can't do the 12, but I can't do that is driving me insane at the moment.
That'll come.
It will.
Yeah.
So my biggest struggle would have been that one.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a huge deal. And that's something that I struggle with as a teacher, because when I teach people face to face in my studio in Edinburgh, which unfortunately I don't do anymore because I'm now completely online and it takes up all of my time. But I used to run a studio here, and you wouldn't be allowed to not play in front of people. I used to get very, very early stage players to play in front of an audience because I feel that that's a really important part of the learning process. But without someone pushing you, like you're encouraging your friend to play, you kind of need someone to encourage you to get out there and do that first performance.
See, that's where you come in.
Yeah.
Because, honestly, like, I know, like, you have been a great support to me. The emails that you send, and what I suggested, like suggesting this whole process, what we're doing now, was a coincidence of that, a follow-on of that, You're supporting.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, and hopefully we'll get you playing before too long. I won't ask you to play right now unless you're really into it, but maybe in the future. There was another thing that I wanted to ask you, which is what gave you the biggest sense of accomplishment so far? What was the moment when you thought, oh yeah, I hit this thing and I didn't think that I was going to?
Picking it up and doing the old Pogue one.
Yeah.
Making my way through that.
Nice.
When I got that down, you mark it up a few times, I haven't been doing it for decades. I love when he says that, for decades. But that would be the biggest one. When I finally realized that I could do that. When I got that down, I knew I was okay.
Yeah.
I knew I was okay. And even, You Are Like Sunshine and Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and all those little nursery rhymes, once they start flowing, it all becomes okay,
Yeah.
But coming back to something that was asked earlier about at the beginning, when I started learning this, I thought about myself about doing a YouTube about a person who's struggling to learn, or how do you learn, But I'd never done a YouTube. I'd never done anything like this in my life, So I didn't really have anywhere to go with it. But at the time, it was like, are there other people struggling like I am? And do we all go through this? And, and that was the motivation. There was someone to like reach out and like speak out to yourself, So I'm pleased that we've crossed paths as we have in this, because it's opened another door.
Yeah.
It's opened another door, and I'm hoping whoever listens is, like, wherever you are, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing it for a year and I'm doing great. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the thing to try and remember, which is sometimes quite difficult when you hear really, really good players, is that they have been exactly where you are now, and they've been also right at that first stage of picking up a harmonica for the first time.
Yeah.
And no one does great straight away. Some people find certain things easier. Some people find other things a lot harder. But it's the same path for everyone of just, learning how to breathe properly, learning how to play clean notes, playing rhythmically, and building from there. And I think you're doing brilliantly. So you got nothing to worry about there. Before we started recording, you asked a couple of interesting questions. I was wondering if you'd mentioned those. Okay, well,
on the spot. Okay.
Well, okay. So you were talking about first of all, kind of getting tired physically.
Oh yeah. Other people have mentioned it to me when I'm talking. And it seems specifically when I'm talking fast, and I don't even know when I'm doing that, my mouth gets tired as such, and I start to lose maybe the strength or whatever in my mouth, and I start to mumble.
Yeah.
And as I've been playing a few notes, and all of a sudden I'll start crossing notes, like I'll start playing like a 3 and a 4 and a 2 and a 3, and I'm thinking, well, how am I doing that,
Yeah.
Why am I doing that,
Yeah.
And I'll stop and I'll start again and I'll get it and then it goes back again. I'm thinking, what the, And I get frustrated with myself. And then I realize that my muscles in my mouth are getting tired.
Yeah.
So that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, so I mean that's super common. Everyone goes through that at the beginning. I even go through it if I've had a break from playing. So I'll sometimes take a few weeks off or a month off for whatever reason. I might spend more time playing guitar or whatever, and harmonica won't be the main priority. And I'll come back to it, and I'll go for an hour and a half session to go and play a gig or whatever. And then my mouth is sore, and I can feel that I'm starting to lose the embouchure in my playing, and I'm like, wait, where are my clean notes? Where did they go? So it's totally normal. It's totally normal. One thing I like to talk about with students is something I call the bell curve of practice. And can you picture a bell curve where kind of going up and down at the other end, and it plateaus at the top? So if you think about your practice, you're kind of making improvement, and then you get to this point where you're still practicing, but you're not improving quite so much. And then if you push through that, you start getting worse again. And I'm sure you've experienced that in a practice session when you've played too long.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have put the connection with the bell curve.
Yeah. So what you've got to try and do when you're practicing is try and stop when you start to feel yourself slowing down in improvement. Stop at that point. And then you're always stopping on the high, and you're always going to build on that, rather than pushing through and starting to play worse
and then get
again.
Frustrated with yourself.
Yeah.
Good point. That's why you're a teacher.
It's not my first rodeo. And so another thing that you mentioned at the beginning is, and part of the reason that you wanted to come onto this was this idea of knowing how to measure your progress against other people.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, like I don't have anybody musically around my environment where I am, Excuse me. And so I don't know how to measure my progress, if you like. For me, I'm doing okay, But should I be, or could I be? Well, not could. Yeah, should I be at this point? Should I be at this point? Should I have the 12-bar blues down yet? After all this time, like 12 months, so it's a fairly long time. But then I'm thinking, well, it was only today, and I'm serious. Only this afternoon, through watching something else, I realised that the one blow on a C note is like the C, and then the 4 blow is another C, but that's 1 octave up, right? Which is double in the sound wavy thing, like you talk about curves, in the sound wave of the 1 C.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that, that the 4 was like an octave up, and then the 7 is another octave up, and then the 10, it's too much.
But that's the thing, is you build on your knowledge. You start with a foundation of knowledge, however small that is, and you keep adding little bits to it. And the thing of measuring your progress, it's such a difficult question to answer because everyone progresses at different speeds.
True.
Everyone comes to it with different things. So, I'll quite often get students who have been playing guitar or bass or whatever for 30 years, and then they come to harmonica and they pick it up quite quickly. And you think, oh, well, they must be a natural at harmonica. No, they just have learned all that music stuff already. So there are a lot less barriers to their playing. And then other people get so obsessed with it that even though they've never played an instrument before, they end up playing 4 or 5 hours a day and they get really good really quickly. And then other people, it's a more drawn out process. So it's difficult to set a kind of standard for how long it should take. One thing that I would say is that trying to find some kind of community that you can interact with on a regular basis is absolutely huge. I mean, there are tons of free groups on Facebook or forums where you can post recordings of yourself playing and other people. I know it's scary. I can see the look on your face, but other people post recordings and you'll get positive feedback and help. And it's definitely scary making that first step. But if you start doing it, you've got other people holding you accountable because you start feeling that you have to help other people and also demonstrate that you're doing the work yourself.
Yeah, like I can see for a person who's come from a bit of who has experience playing the guitar or piano or whatever. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to digress here because I looked to my left. When I said earlier that I didn't even know what a C note was, or the notes, and that at the very beginning, when you buy your harmonica, your first harmonica, right, and you're blowing or you're drawing on the two, it's broken.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Eh? It won't blow. It's broken. And well, I went through that. I actually sent my first one back. Right. I said, "This is broken. It doesn't work, mate." And they were good enough. They replaced it. But upon research, it wasn't breaking the rules, only because I was blowing too hard on it or whatever,
Yeah.
So then I thought, well, how am I going to know if the note that I'm blowing is at the right pitch or the right tune, you see? And I didn't know how to do that. So I tried the apps on the phone, those tuning app things, I tried that. And then I thought, well, baby, I'll go out and buy myself a keyboard. So I went and bought myself
Nice.
I went and bought myself an electronic keyboard, you see. And that's been cool too because I've been playing along with that, finding notes and that.
Yeah.
And it's great.
That's brilliant. So you're building up your musicality and that's great.
And reading the books and that, I wish years and years and years ago, but hey, it is what it is.
It hits you when it hits you. I think that's the most common thing I hear with students is I wish I'd started before. I say you weren't in the right place for it. And you picked it up when you got excited by it, and that's the most important thing, is being excited. Yeah,
that's exactly right. You weren't ready in life, wherever your life is, to hear it, and now for me, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So brilliant. Coming back to the question that I digressed from, what was it? Sorry, mate.
No, I was just suggesting that you get involved with some online communities and you start posting some recordings so you can compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, and that's where I went to. Yeah. I suspect a person who has a bit of a history or background with music has a better understanding of it and so able to progress a little bit faster along those lines.
Yeah.
So that was a short answer there.
Cool. Well, this has been a real pleasure. I've really appreciated you taking some time and also suggesting this idea. I think it's fantastic, and I think loads of people will really benefit from listening to you talking about the early stages of learning the instrument. It might be something that we connect again in a year's time and see how you're getting on, if you're keen.
I actually thought about that myself. Hey, do you mind if I make a shout out to my son? Kalen.
Go for it.
My son, Kalen, in New Zealand, and my daughter, Teresa. She's actually going to have a baby soon, but I can't get there. Yeah, I can't get there, the COVID thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Hey, do you know this? Do you know that Brazilian woman, Indiara?
Yeah.
Have you heard of her?
Oh, yeah.
What a brilliant player. Like, I know there's a lot of cool guys out there, playing like Adam and Gusso and Ronnie and that. But when I came across her a couple of weeks ago, I thought, holy hell.
Yeah.
She was born with this thing in her mouth, like she just plays it.
Oh, no, she's phenomenal. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
There are lots of good players out there, like
Yeah. Very cool.
Inspiration, mate. Inspiration.
That's what you need. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, and see you in a year's time, mate.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Tomlin's Harmonica podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review on your podcast player of choice. Join me next Monday for the next episode. Happy harping!